it's all about bottle. Can you handle the pressure? Because that's what it is right now. So.
And Connor, as a Leeds fan, is speaking from experience.
If I watch us lose at Wembley again for the fourth year in a row.
If they win their next 2 games, Borough are going to be 5 points clear at the top of the table.
Going to Sheffield United and winning right now is a huge marker, and I think they've got all the capabilities to do that.
Hello guys, welcome back to the Sportsman Untitled, brought to you by Betfred. Joining me today to review the Championship weekend and look at some of the big stories are Conor McGilligan and Gab Sutton. Welcome to the show, guys. Apparently, I don't want to, but we should start with league leaders Coventry, Gab, dropping points, 0-0 at home to 10-man Oxford. It's all going a little bit wrong for the current league leaders.
Yes, it is. I think that obviously on the balance of chances, Coventry will feel like they created enough to probably win that game, but momentum is away from Coventry after those back-to-back defeats and then dropping crucial points at home. And I suppose this brings questions of Doug King and the ownership regime. Just from a point of the last 2 windows, Frank Lampard's, if you look at his record as a whole over the last 15 months or so, I think very, very good. I would maybe question whether he's been backed sufficiently certainly in the summer window and January. So I'm wondering if there's some question marks about whether he's been given those extra options to push Coventry over the line.
Yeah, would you agree with that, Connor, in terms of the squad at the moment? And there was the Bamford link, obviously. He was training with the club and then not signed and went to Sheffield United. It feels like something's not quite right now.
Yeah, and obviously you're the best person to talk to about this, but it feels, I agree with what Gab's saying. Ultimately, I think, especially when Patrick Bamford's training with you and you see how well he's doing currently at Sheffield United, where he's the focal point, let's be quite honest, now he's the best striker at that club. So would he have been perfect? Look, he's going to come into question again. I mean, I know Gab's looking at the overall perspective here, but there's certain players in that team that need to step up right now. The chance creation is minimal. I think it's a bit pedestrian with Coventry at the minute. It's a slow build-up from when it once was intense, fraught and frantic in a positive way at the very beginning of the season. I think we've always questioned the defence a little bit. And, you know, I'd probably move that on to you and you can talk a little bit more about that. But we've questioned that a little bit. And I think that if worst case scenario came to it, might be a problem with Cov in the playoffs. But ultimately, right now, it's all about bottle. Can you handle the pressure? Because that's what it is right now. So.
And Connor, as a Leeds fan, is speaking from experience.
Exactly. He's thrown that in a couple of times there, Gab. but no,
you said it's nice to see someone else suffer and watch it from the outside.
It's funny because, you know, obviously...
It's not funny. It's the furthest thing from funny.
But at least there's a bit of relatability there with me. And I understand how, you know, important a January window is. We've faltered at that point before, Leeds United and in the Championship. But luckily enough, last time out, Leeds were so stacked with quality, we were okay. But maybe Doug King has missed that opportunity there. But now, you know, let's be honest, those players have got Cov into those positions. You've still got key personnel still to come back as well from an offensive perspective. I think we've got a question as well, Frank Lampard knowing his starting 11. I think when you look at Borough at his strongest 11, I think when you look at Borough right now and you look at teams that have gone up previously, that back line is really important to have that correct. You know, 5 personnel every single time starting match on match on match. That's not happening at this moment in time. There's just a lot of things at the minute that I'm worried about when it comes to Cov, but it is all about handling that pressure ultimately.
Yeah, 12 points from the last 10, Gab. That's not ideal.
No, do you think Ephron Mason-Clark coming back this weekend is going to make a difference?
Yeah, hopefully. I think massively missed him against Oxford. He's been phenomenal this season. His strength is massive. He always attacks his full-back, you know, gets balls into the box. SA, although 2 goals recently, he is still very raw. He gives the ball away in frustrating positions in his own defensive third sometimes. But he is trying to do things to unlock defences. Yeah. Mason Clark's been massive, though. I'd maybe look to Radoni as well, getting him in the team in home games in the number 10.
Getting him back to his form from the first third of the season, Simon, because I seem to recall he started the season brilliantly, didn't he?
It was maybe the end of last season rather than
more the end
season.
of last season. Okay, yeah.
And then I think it's the shoulder injury that's done him in. He got a shoulder injury at Oxford last season, and since then he's not quite returned the same, which is unfortunate. So maybe he needs surgery or something. like that. We should talk about Oxford, by the way. A bit of credit to them. It's not all about Coventry. They came, they did a job, they got a point with 10 men. Matt Bloomfield has improved them, Connor. They're now 4 points from safety. Chance for them to survive. A bit of an uptick in form recently, but maybe not quite getting the wins.
Yeah, I just think it's the teams above them as well, isn't it? Like, I thought maybe Pompey had been in a bit of danger. I think they might get out of it now. When you're looking at the remainder of the season and the strength they've been able to gain from, the last sort of month. I mean, ultimately, it's a question, do I think they'll get out of it? I don't. I think there's still goals, which is a little bit of an issue for Oxford. I think, up against Coventry, it was a misfiring Coventry side. But I still think they look a little bit whimsical when it's the case of putting the ball in the back of the net. I think right now when it comes to Oxford, it needs to be wins. It needs to be wins.
Is that the number 9 position that is an issue? They've got Will Lancashire and they've got Harris, but it does feel like they're still missing something, maybe a top level Championship goal scorer in this level, Gab. I just feel like maybe they're not creative enough to score enough goals, where defensively they have really improved. I think it's 3 clean sheets in the last 5 games or 6 games for them. But Bloomfield probably needs to get a bit more out of them going forward.
Possibly. I think that they are a limited group, and I think that trying to win games 1-0 is a better approach than trying to outplay teams. I think that we've seen in the past that Will Lancashire or Mark Harris can find runs of form at this level. I think that they do have Brian de Keersmaker, who I think can sort of slot those passes through and can be that creative influence.
I think Plahet's quite good as well as their winger. Yeah,
they've got quick players in wide areas as well, so I think they'll go for a counter-attacking system between now and the end of the season, but they've got to try and make the Kazam Stadium a fortress.
And we will have a bit more of a conversation about the relegation battle later in the show. Quick word, Connor. We are recording on Monday before Sheffield United versus Borough. It's a massive opportunity for Borough, isn't it? Looking at their winning run. If they win their next 2 games, Borough are going to be 5 points clear at the top of the table. What an opportunity for them.
Why are you smiling?
It's pain. It's real pain.
Yeah, it's a huge period, isn't it? And they've been so impressive, Borough. So impressive. The form team in the division, 5 wins on the bounce. And I just think across the board, I mean, they had a little bit of a blip, didn't they? But it looks like they're just so aggressive. They're so intense. They're everything that Coventry aren't at this moment in time. And they've got a real opportunity to put a marker down here, because if they're to go to Bramall Lane and beat Sheffield United on their own patch, I mean, there's not more statement wins than that in the Championship. And I think they've got...
And then they go to Coventry.
And there's so many narratives here. There is so many narratives here. But going to Sheffield United and winning right now is a huge marker, and I think they've got all the capabilities to do that. Yeah,
they are absolutely flying. A team that also got a big win ahead of a run of away games this week, this month, Gab. Ipswich winning 2-1 away at Derby. I was looking at their average points per game recently. It's 10 points from their last 5, 20 points from their last 10, 30 points from their last 15, 41 points from their last 20 games in the Championship. That's 2 points a game, working that out, which is promotion form if they keep that going to the end of the season.
Yeah, they've been very reliable at that base level since around September time, haven't they?
Since the transfer window shut, which probably isn't a coincidence, is it?
Yeah, I think that often helps for relegated clubs having that sort of clarity. But also since the transfer window shut with this window, because I think Dan Neil has made a big difference to Ipswich Town, even in those 15 minutes at Derby coming on for Jack Taylor. I think the energy that he brought, he seems to have acquired some real leadership qualities from his time at Sunderland, and I think he could be a bit of a difference maker in the last third of the season.
And you look at Anis Mehmeti coming in January as well, playing in the number 10 role. They're missing Marcelino Nunes at the moment, but he seems to do a really good job. And is that an answer for you, Connor, moving forward for Ipswich's number 10?
It is, yeah. I thought it was one of the signings of the January window, to be honest with you. Him coming in for, £3 million, and then you've got rotation options in the number 10 of Marcelino Nunes and... Yeah, and Mehmeti. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? And this is the conversation when we're kind of looking at Borough as well, and we're looking at Coventry. Have they got the strength in depth that what Ipswich have? That is the second winning 7 as well, away from home. Really important. They got that monkey off the back. What I will say as well is Leif Davis, there needs to be a little bit more conversation about, that goal being in one of the top goals of the season, really. I mean, it was an absolutely fantastic header and really important. And interesting how McKenna said it was his favourite win of the season. And Ipswich weren't great, let's be honest. It was a bit of a dull affair. But it's those wins that get you over the line.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, Connor, about the three promotion candidates, because none of them have what you'd call is a super ruthless, deadly centre forward. Middlesbrough have Tommy Conway, who's got a great work ethic, but form, goal scoring wise, a little bit inconsistent. Ipswich have George Hurst, who I'm actually a massive advocate of, but you wouldn't say he's a ruthless clinical goal scorer. And then Coventry have Hadji Wright down in the middle, who's been a bit hit and miss as well. But you, speaking from the experience of having a team that's won promotion without necessarily having that deadly goal scoring centre forward, you had Kemal Roof and Patrick Bamford in the 1819 and 1920 seasons. Roof had left by the second one, I think. And then last season, it was Joel Pirret, but a lot of his goals came sort of in a glut towards the end of the season. He wasn't necessarily amazing. So does it, from your experience, can you build a really competitive team in the Championship without having that deadly number 9?
I think you can, yeah. And you look at Burnley as well last season, Zian Fleming. It's not like we're talking about a top striker at that level. So I don't think, I think how systems are built in football now, you don't always need an out-and-out, goal scoring. You need Billy Sharp, you Adam Armstrong. You don't need that. I think obviously that helps, don't get me wrong, but I think it's a lot about that number 9 being a facilitator for wide players and flooding the box. And, I think I actually quite like the completion of squads nowadays as well, because there's goals from a variety of places, not just from that number 9 position, and not just the heavy reliance on that person as well, which I think is why football is a little bit more well-rounded now. But yeah, I think it's definitely achievable, yeah, and you're seeing that now. But I'm sure you'd have liked a nice little number 9 to get you over the line, and I guess that's the difference, isn't it?
It's interesting from a Coventry perspective, because we've got 3 forwards or strikers who have scored 10 goals this season, but I think Tom Sané hasn't scored since early November, and he's been out injured and the like, and Hadji Wright and Ellis Sims are interchangeable. I know you quite like Ellis Sims in terms of his goals per minute in favour of Hadji Wright, but there isn't an Alexander Mitrovic in the division this year where he's scoring 30, 40 goals or something like that. It is an interesting change, I guess, in the Championship that we've seen. Hull slipped up at home, and what an away performance this was, Gab, from Bristol City. Should we mention the squirrel that entered the pitch?
Let's mention the squirrel, because I was co-commentating on that game for Radio Bristol.
Oh, amazing! And
it was a really funny situation for me, because I was my co-commentator the second time the squirrel broke out. He was quite an elusive little fella. He took it quite seriously and was annoyed at how the club had handled it, whatever. And I was just sitting there finding absolutely hilarious. So the guy next to me was furious, and I was just laughing my head off.
Wasn't there another occasion with a squirrel on the pitch as well last season?
There was that, and there was also QPR against Leicester, I believe, in 2013. So
you've been researching your squirrel facts.
Yeah, I've been digging in.
I know you like your puns. Was Radio Bristol entertained with your squirrel puns? Are you coming in?
Yes, yeah.
Going a bit nuts, etc.
Yeah, they tried to catch the squirrel, but he was too long in the tooth.
Yeah, very good. What happened on the pitch, Gab?
There's a squirrel.
Bristol City, by the way, I think I suggested they might drop off with the loss of Viner and Mehmeti. I thought they were really good value for this win, and I thought the third goal in particular, that through ball from Twine to Reece in the finish, excellent stuff. I was impressed.
Absolutely, yeah. I think Bristol City were really well organised, because that was a tough closing to the game, I would say, after Hull had got one back in the second half, and you're thinking it's going to be a tough finale. But actually, Bristol City under Gerhard Sturber looked like a really well organised team, and so compact at possession. They got the right distances and everything. And then they also had Sinclair Armstrong off the bench, who's very good at getting you up the pitch in those kind of situations with his pace and power. And they were also very tenacious. They brought Joe Williams off the bench, who crunched into a couple of challenges as well. So all those things really helped Bristol City manage the game. One player I wanted to talk about was Tommy Horvath, though, because they lost Anis Mehmeti in January because he was out of contract in the summer, so Ipswich got him for a cheaper fee than they would have otherwise done. But Horvath looks like someone who's always going to try and create things, and not everything he tried came off, but I liked that he was always very inventive, and he played some nice touches, and he looks like a really lovely ball carrier, so could be one to watch in the last third of the season.
And a slip up from Hull, but the work they've done in the last kind of couple of months has got them nicely in the playoff places with a little gap, so they can afford a loose performance here and there. You think they'll be a top 6 side come back?
Well, I think mathematically they're in a position. I think if they had fewer points, I'd be more questioning of it. I think there's a feeling with Hull City, and it does remind me a little bit of Nottingham Forest a few years ago when they dropped out on the last day under the French Sabri Lamouchi. And I do sort of wonder, performance-wise, there's an aspect of the sustainability side that I would maybe question slightly, because I think for Hull fans, they could probably count on two hands the number of times they've actually played well this season. So, and they've probably just found themselves on the right side of fine margins. In an incredible position, don't get me wrong, but I think they're looking at top 6 rather than top 2.
Absolutely. Wrexham Millwall, I'll come to you for this one, Conor. Massive away win for Millwall. They won 2-0. They had one shot on target, and it's the first time I believe Wrexham haven't scored at home this season. So massive away win for Wrexham.
Yeah, I couldn't believe Wrexham didn't score, to be honest with you. It was obviously, I won't say they were dominant in the game, but they were definitely the better team. But Millwall are just proven at this moment in time. I mean, look, I know when people talk about the midfield, they're not as impressed maybe with Mitchell in there, but I think Mitchell and Casper Denor as a combination are really, really impressive. Denor coming back, I think it's just given them that little elevation as well. I thought Negley was excellent, and it's interesting, isn't it, because they're kind of in that flow state now, Millwall, where they're becoming a little bit becoming very dangerous. I think we've not seen with Millwall teams years gone by the quality that they have right now. And I think when you look at the bench, even the addition of someone like Tommy Watson, it's a massive addition, that a bit of dynamism, pace, huge quality in the final third. And obviously with Ivanovic coming back recently, you're actually looking at that team now. We've spoken about the defence all year when it's come to Caleb Taylor, when it's come to Cram, when it's come to Jake Cooper and Doughty. It's a really good Millwall team now.
I think they, and this might not make any sense, but I think they might be the hardest team to beat in the Championship.
Yeah, but they just
look at that team. You're like, that's every game. You're going to get 7 out of 10 from most of that squad.
Kramer, probably best defender in the Championship.
Best right side of the league, Femi Aziz.
Yeah, but Femi Aziz as well. We've not even mentioned Femi Aziz. Yeah, the team. I think under O'Neill,
Alex Neil.
O'Neill. No, I said O'Neill then. But Alex Neil, I think they've always been relatively difficult to beat. But now you're actually looking at the team and thinking there's a heck of a lot of quality and calibre there. So, I'm excited for Millwall, and I think what they proved in this game as well, in particular, which we should always focus on, is when you're generating 0.64 XG, you're not really doing that much, but you're comfortable against Wrexham, playoff chasing side as well. Seriously impressive stuff.
Yeah, have thoughts?
Yeah, I think what I'm interested in is Millwall have put themselves in a great position to get a home second leg in the playoffs. And I think that could be quite an important one as well.
Oh, you're pointing at me, Gab. I don't like that.
I think it makes perfect sense.
No, you're finishing third, so you won't have to play them.
Yeah, there we go.
At Wembley.
Where's that bottle?
If I watch us lose at Wembley again for the 4th year in a row,
we are becoming quite relatable, me and you, aren't we?
Sorry, Gab, I've interrupted your point about Millwall. Please continue.
But I think going to the Den is going to be such a difficult thing for a second leg, because they're going to create such an intimidating atmosphere there, and I think that's going to give them a huge advantage. I really like Millwall. I think they've got lots of creativity in that team. They've got really quick, strong 1v1 operators out wide. They've got a serial goal scorer in Mihailo Ivanovic. They've had some experience to quite a talented and exuberant young squad in Barry Bannon as well. So
yeah, forget about Bannon.
So I think he's going to make it. Might not start 90, Tuesday, Saturday, but I think he's going to make a big difference. So I think Millwall have put themselves in a great position to finish in the top 6.
I know as well he's not, been in the goals as such, but just getting someone like Coburn on the score sheet like it was, it's a brilliant finish as well. But I guess pivoting on over to Wrexham, I wouldn't be too worried if I was a Wrexham fan. It's not a great result for them up against obviously a playoff contender, but I thought Wrexham were strangely enough still good enough to win this game. It's kind of confusing, isn't it, really, when you're looking from a Wrexham. They were just unlucky, I felt, in this game, really.
To some extent, however, what I'd probably question is they started Ollie Rathbone and Lewis O'Brien as their two number 10s behind Sam Smith, and I suppose I could imagine, you're in the position of Davis Keeler-Dunn or Josh Windass with Nathan Broadhead's injured, okay, but you sort of, it does feel like Phil Parkinson is going for those tenacious, destructive 10s and very much going to stop the opposition with like those kind of individual plans to combat the opponents, as opposed to backing the best players in his own team. And I think that's worked for him in his career, because there's a reason why he's had 20 years in football management and won 6 promotions, and I think you have to respect his judgment. But at the same time, there's probably the question mark of, are we playing the best players here?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
It's a funny one as well, because when you're talking about playing X-factor players and then industrious, hard-working players, you're going up against Millwall, and that Millwall midfield as well, where there needs to be a bit of a balance, doesn't there, in between having these industrious players and these players who can make it, really tough and gritty for the opposition, but having that X-factor in there. So, yeah, it's a fine balance, isn't it, between having those players and having the players that are going to win you the games.
Absolutely.
We'll finish this little weekend chat with Birmingham 2, Leicester 1. Gab, how was it? Another win for the Blues?
Yeah, I'm really enthused by how our January edition seemed to have reinvigorated our playoff push. Kai Wagner, star in the MLS, has made a big difference. Ibrahim Osman got his first goal for the club against Leicester on Saturday.
That was a shocking mistake, wasn't it, from Pereira?
Yeah, it wasn't the best, was it? But again, I think he's brought some fresh pace on the left-hand side that I think is going to make a big difference to us. I think Carlos Vicente as well looks like he's going to be a really creative attacking player, and
should be for the 250 grand a week or whatever it is you're reported to be paying him, but there we go.
That sounds like rather a lot, doesn't it? And
that's your appearance fee on this show, isn't it?
It's a lot more than that.
Did you know they get paid? People get paid for it. No, I think Jean Solis as well looks like a really good addition, so I'm excited by the additions that we've made, and I'm excited about that.
Go on.
No, I was just going to say, I think Wagner's been a really exciting signing as well. I love his consistency when he's come in, but I also love the fact that any time he gets the ball out of his feet, it's just instantly, I want to go forward. He's just an exciting left back, isn't he? A bit of a throwback. So, yeah.
We'll do a bit of a race for 6th chat, is what I'm calling this next, because it feels like, thanks mate, I worked hard on that. It feels like the top 5 look pretty well set to finish in the top 6, unless Coventry completely capitulate. So it feels like the 6th spot is open. Gab, do we think now, looking at those outside the playoff positions, do we think Birmingham are potentially best placed to make a charge? What's the points gap now?
My view on this changes every week.
That's the beauty of it.
I know, yeah. You could come to me every week and I'd give you a completely different prediction. I think that it's absolute carnage. I think depending on Sheffield United's result against Middlesbrough this evening, I think you go down to 16th in terms of potential playoff candidates. I'd possibly draw the line just ahead of Norwich, because as much as they've been brilliant under Philippe Clement, I think 11 points at this stage is rather a lot. But I think certainly between 16th and 6th, it's almost like a gap of its own. So, I'm fascinated to see how it unfolds. Southampton, by the way, since they appointed Ben Garner as the assistant to Ten Rockout, they've improved a lot in terms of results and performances, so I wouldn't discount them from the equation as well. So I would say, there's plenty of teams who really have the potential. I think Derby, Birmingham, and Southampton, and maybe Sheffield United. I think there's 4 teams there that have the potential to put a real run together.
Birmingham 2 points off. We've spoken about how good they are at home. I think 1 defeat all season. Their away form, if they can correct that, which it looks like they might have recently, they're going to be tough to stop in terms of momentum and the quality they have in that squad, Colin.
Who have they beaten away from
Oxford and Wednesday. Oxford are one of the best teams in the league, in my opinion. Really tough to break down. But 2 clean sheets away from home.
Yes.
They've got to start somewhere.
Of course they have, and that's very important. Sheffield Wednesday, I think there is an almighty caveat that they haven't scored a goal since Boxing Day. But yeah, that's the. I mean, you do look now at Birmingham's last 5, unbeaten in 5, which I think is unique. Well, it's completely unique when you look at the chases and obviously even teams in the playoffs. Birmingham and Borough probably, top of the form table now. And then you look at the Birmingham investments as well. Just speaking about Vicente there, speaking about Kai Wagner, really important, really astute signings who importantly have hit the ground running as well. So. Birmingham, I'm looking at Watford, I'm looking at Derby. There's inconsistency there. There's obviously inconsistency in just general form issues with QPR. I don't think Stoke will get in there. I think Gab's absolutely on the money when it comes to Southampton because you look at the resources that they've got as well. So I think when you're kind of looking at these outside chances, I would put my money on, if you are to pick one, I'll pick 3 actually. I'd probably look at Sheffield United, Southampton and Birmingham.
That's the team with the best squads, isn't it? It's quite interesting that we're in this position, Gab, where we're looking at Wrexham in 6th, who I think can still make it, but mainly Preston in 7th, Bristol City in 8th, Derby in 9th, and maybe even now Watford, who have tailed off a bit, and thinking they probably don't have enough to make it into the top 6. It feels a bit harsh on Preston, who got a win this weekend. Bristol City the same, got a win this weekend. Derby have been very good recently up until losing to Ipswich. Would your opinion change on any of those in terms of thinking they can break in? I think Derby out of those 3 are probably the best.
I love John Eustace. I think he's done an unbelievable job, and I think that they have such a threat at the top end of the pitch, and I really like Bobby Clark in midfield as well. I think he's having a brilliant loan spell there. But again, I do go back to Sheffield United, and I feel like they do have the potential to win at least another 10 games between now and the end of the season. And if it's a low bar for the playoffs, which I think it might be, I think Sheffield United are a team that I still think have a shout, if depending on how tonight goes, because I think tonight's huge.
It's a weird one as well. Like with Derby, it's almost this home form which is a problem, isn't it? If they're able to, like we were talking about with Birmingham when it comes to the away form, if Derby are able to sort that out, I mean, there's a massive Carlton Morris hole as well. It'd be really nice to see him back with Aggie Mang, and obviously we're just mentioning Bobby Clark as well. That's a completely different conversation there, and they've got a lot of firepower there, and that will be like a new signing when he comes back. I just think there's a little bit of inconsistency with Derby at home. Preston, Portsmouth was so unlucky not to get a result at the weekend. I thought Portsmouth I couldn't believe they didn't score in that game.
Dominated the play as well. Portsmouth had something like 65% possession, which running the game away from home, so not something we'd always associate with Portsmouth. So I agree, maybe Preston found themselves on the right side.
You look at Osmajic been out as well, again, for a period of time. They've been quite reliant on when it comes to goals. I think that could be an issue.
We were all very excited about Watford a few weeks ago, by the way. And now we're looking at them at the end of the month, and they've lost their manager.
It almost feels, Simon, like the stronger candidates really strangely are actually lower down the table than the ones higher up, which makes absolutely zero sense, but nor does the Championship.
You've nailed it there. Go on.
This has got to be I don't know if it's like the lowest bar or a really top bar in terms of the playoffs and the playoff, chasing sides. And we've mentioned it up, like Gab just said, to 16th. There is a conversation about every single. I don't think we've ever seen that, especially at this stage. I
think there's lots of good teams. So in one sense, the competition is high, but I think that's going to lead to a low bar because I think that you've got this massive pack between 6th and 16th teams that are going to take points off one another, and I think that's actually going to drive the points bar for 6th spot down rather than up.
Yeah,
because every game's going to be tough. So because there isn't a mid-table, teams at the end of the season aren't going to have as many games against teams that are on the beach with nothing to play for.
And then I'm just looking at 8th and 9th there, and it's funny, isn't it? You see Derby going away to Bristol City and smacking them 5-0, and then a game week later, Bristol City have gone back above Derby. It's ridiculous, isn't it? So,
You can't call it, but if I was to push you for a 6th place team, Connor, you gave 3. Can I narrow you down to 1?
Yes, you can. I'm going to go with... There's 2 teams, and I am going to go with Birmingham City.
Ooh, Gabby, you was confident in your boys?
I'm going to... I think Birmingham City is a great shout. When we did our predictions a few weeks ago, I said Sheffield United, and I'm going to gamble on Sheffield United beating Middlesbrough tonight, knowing that I could look absolutely ridiculous if they lose heavily to Middlesbrough. But if they beat Middlesbrough, I think Sheffield United get top 6.
Yes.
So I'm going to go Sheffield United.
Well, then it's down to 3 points between Sheffield United and Birmingham, and we all know what Wilder can do in this division when it comes down to these runs. And
If they do that, imagine if they get promoted from the position they were in when he came in. That would be one of the best achievements.
They would play Coventry in the semi-final.
Oh, cool.
Well, everything is Ruben Sayers' fault, isn't it?
Yeah.
Literally everything.
Yeah.
So I think if you spoke to any Sheffield United fan, and I think if they beat Borough tonight, which I think a lot of us are looking at and thinking that it's likely, if they beat Borough tonight, this could be another Chris Wilder run in the Championship where they get confidence, mentality. It's Wilder against the world. It's Sheffield United. We've seen it all before, so it's got all the hallmarks of it.
Wilder against the world sounds like a boxing match, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I don't know if I'd be... I know 11 points is a lot, but with all the traffic as well. But Norwich are probably the form team in the league right now, and I just wonder if they can do enough to get very, very close.
I think they had to beat Borough.
Let's say best case scenario, Norwich win 10 and draw 5, which is probably the most we could realistically ask of them. That would mean that they would get another... that would get them on to 71 points.
There you go.
Oh yeah, okay. All right, I talked myself into that. All right, yeah.
I think maybe they might be the sneaky surprise package. I've been massively impressed with them. We are now going to look at the bottom of the table as well and the relegation picture, because Callum, our Blackburn fan in the office, really wanted us to talk about Blackburn Rovers this week. Without a manager, still in the bottom 3, Gab. Alarm bells ringing in terms of relegation? Yeah,
I watched the game against Norwich. They put a full 90 up on the YouTube, so I kind of skipped, watched a bit of that, and I felt like, I'm not sure about their setup, because they were very compact. They had like a back 5, and then I would describe it as a sort of 3-man midfield with Ryan Alabioso, who's normally a right back, sort of on the right hand side of that, and then they had Cantwell behind Yuki Hashi. And I think when it's very much an out of possession system, I don't think Todd Cantwell can do that at possession work, and I don't think he suits that way of playing, and they just looked a little bit square pegs in round holes. Not that Norwich created loads or necessarily, because they didn't score their goals until late in the game, so I'm sure Damian Johnson would argue they kept them at arm's length for large swathes, but I wasn't convinced by the performance, and it looked a little bit... They didn't have a proper left side. They had like Aylan Kashin on the left-hand side and Morhita just ahead of him. So, maybe lacking a bit of width. I'm not 100% sure by that performance, and they did win in the week leading up to it. But that's kind of raised some question marks for me about Blackburn Rovers and where they're at.
And we've spoken about their home form, or in terms of the atmosphere they can create at home. We had a conversation a few weeks ago where we compared them to Portsmouth and what Portsmouth can do at Fratton Park. You don't get that at Ewood Park. And in a relegation battle, that feels like quite a big factor that they're not going to be able to benefit from. Yeah,
home form is just huge, I think, at any level, especially when you're able to generate, like you've said, the atmosphere that we see at Fratton Park.
Plymouth nearly stayed up on that home form,
of course,
alone.
At home park, yeah. I think Gab raises a really good point. I think when you look at it in that Norwich game in particular, when it kind of gets to 70 minutes and it's nil point, you need to get out of there with a point, really. It was very conservative, I thought. I think the Todd Cantwell point's a really good point as well, because they need to get the best out of him, and obviously Good Johnson. That's the main sort of two-pronged finale, I think, in Blackburn getting out of this. I do really, really worry for them, though, because like you said, that home form isn't going to be a catalyst at any stage, really. So... yeah, Blackburn are in a bit of trouble, I think, so.
We need to talk about, as well, Leicester getting 6 points deducted, Connor, because we hadn't been able to discuss this on last week's show. It hadn't happened yet. Now it has happened. They've lost again. Their form is pretty dreadful. They're level on points with the relegation zone. They're managerless. I mean, I've been saying Leicester will be go down for a while now, since about Christmas. Now it actually looks like... Thank you, Gab. Now it actually looks like it might happen.
Go and get Gary Rowett.
Oh, they won't do that. They will not do that.
Are they too good for that?
They're too big time. They think they're too good for that. The players won't want that.
I've been knocking on his door and saying, please come and save us. That's what I'd be looking at
Nigel
now.
Pearson?
Pearson, maybe. I
Go
just think you look at those two clubs. He's available. he's got a bit of history, hasn't he? With is it Leicester, Gary Rowett, or was it Blackburn? I don't know which.
Derby, Gary Rowett was that?
No. But he's got. I don't know if he's got some. Anyway,
Pearson was Leicester City manager. He's very much a club legend there.
Someone will tell us in the comment section below. I thought there was some sort of connection there. But point being, anyway, Leicester at this moment in time, I think the signing even of Jamal Lascelles, actually look at that and think it was a really good signing just from a leadership perspective and someone in the back line who is going to come in and give them something that they haven't had, in terms of real quality experience. So I like that, and I was a little bit more positive on Leicester. I mean, let's be honest, they got away with it. 6 points. I mean, there was conversation about it being up to 15-ish and more points. So they got away with it being 6 points. The wage bill has been astronomical. The amount that they were supposed to spend, they've gone way in excess of that, as we know, of that 3-year cycle. So they have got away with the 6 point deficit, or 6 points taken off. But that's what I'd be doing. So I'd be going and knocking on his door. And then I wonder, with someone like Rowett, could he work with the personnel that they've got, or maybe would he be perfect for let's say a Blackburn Rovers? But yeah, I mean, what I feel like with Leicester, I don't know if you lads agree, it feels like it's just worldy moments. Moments that get kind of Leicester out a little bit of trouble this year. You've seen it with Fatawu. We've seen quality moments from some of the youngsters as well. Mavadidi's still in there as well. Jordan James, who has been a shining light, really, hasn't he? Let's be honest. But it feels like there's these magic moments which keep happening, but they won't consistently happen for Leicester.
Do you know what, though, Connor? It's sort of a double-edged sword, because Leicester, let's compare them with Oxford United, for instance. On paper, Leicester City's players are much, much better than what you've got at Oxford. However, Oxford United are going to fight for everything. They're used to being in a dogfight and knowing that they've got to scrap for everything, whereas Leicester aren't used to that kind of psychology. Yeah. Their players will think that they're better than this position, and I think from a cultural point of view, I think that's been a factor behind where they are.
And how rare did we say back-to-back relegations were from Premier League down to League One? We saw it with Sunderland, then Luton did it, and it could well happen to Leicester this season. It's really remarkable.
Yeah, it's personnel as well. Gab's right. You got to have fighters down there.
Are there fighters in that team? I think Mavadidi's been poor most of the season. I think Fatawu hasn't done enough, even though his quality is exceptional.
Too much money on that. There's too much money.
I don't think they have the right number 9 either.
No, there's too much money in a lot of those individuals. Huge wages, and they're not performing. And they are not performing. And they've been really, really poor in a lot of games. There's a lot of apathy when it comes to Leicester City fans now, and I can completely understand that. It's. I don't know. This turning point. Are you, Mavadidi, Fatawu? I don't know.
Are any of them going to be there next season? They're already thinking that.
And that's another question, isn't it? Are they already thinking about the futures? Because we've just mentioned with Oxford, they're going to be down in the trenches, fighting for everything. Have Leicester got that? I don't know.
No, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. West Brom's an interesting one as well. Obviously not a great start to Eric Ramsey's career there. They're on 33 points, a point clear of the drop zone. They did have put in a slightly improved performance in the 0-0 at home with Stoke, probably with a better team in that game. Still concerns, though, for West Brom, Gab?
Yeah, quite a similar theme to Leicester City, in that for much of the season, these are two teams that we would have probably put in a different bracket. Not you, because you're smart and you're thinking ahead. But generally speaking, we would have thought that West Brom will be fine. They've got too many good players. And actually, there's possibly been a sense of complacency, I would contest, with regards to the new head coach Eric Ramsey, in that he feels like he can implement his ideas straight away as an in-season appointment, because he didn't think that the group of players he had would go down. And I think that I think they've tried to run before they can walk, and I think that it's when the fitness levels of the players weren't quite up to it, and there's question marks of that from pre-season. Under Ryan Mason, they'd had this theme of some really fast starts, and then within 10 or 15 minutes that completely dropping off quite alarmingly. And I think those are issues with West Brom that are catching up. So I think West Brom are bang in trouble, just like Leicester.
Yeah.
I completely agree with Gab. Really, they're in a lot. There is quite a lot of similarities between Leicester and West Brom. I agree with that. I just have this feeling that when it comes to Leicester, when it comes to West Brom, I've mentioned, it's probably quite contradictory, that, you know, the X factor that these teams have will just be enough to
Look at the goals conceded though.
I know.
47 goals conceded for both West Brom and Leicester, more than any other team in the division apart from Sheffield Wednesday.
It's going to be outscoring opposition, isn't it? That's what it's all going to be about. There's not going to be... And Ramsey, that's what Eric Ramsey was known for, his defensive solidity. That's what he was brought in to do. So stylistically, it's clearly not matching up at this moment in time. I just can't get it out of my head that I think, and I don't know if we're going to move on to this, but I just feel that Blackburn are going to be that team.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other two have just got enough, I think.
West Brom have lost more games than Blackburn this season and Oxford, which is remarkable. Should we say which two teams we think will go down with Sheffield Wednesday for a bit of fun? I think Blackburn will go down this season. I don't think they have enough in the tank. I don't think the home atmosphere is going to help them. I think when Oxford are going to scrap for stuff, I'm not sure Blackburn will in the same manner. Gab, I agree with you. And I'll have to stick with Leicester going down as well. So I'm going to go Blackburn and Leicester. What are you going?
You're going to go Blackburn and Leicester?
To go down? Oxford to stay up, yeah.
Wow, what?
I've said it. I've said Leicester will go down all season. I'm not changing now.
Wow, fair enough. Yeah. I think it will be Oxford. I don't think they're going to score enough goals. I think they will go. And I'm going to go Blackburn, and we mentioned it on here before that the fish rots from the head down, and there is a disinterest there from top down, I think.
You could be describing Leicester.
Could be describing Leicester, yeah. I think at least with their sort of January business, you see a vague interest in the club. I think Blackburn, top down, is checked out.
And Gab, we change these every couple of weeks. Where are you sitting on the day?
I think Sheffield Wednesday might go down. I think...
Could go down, by the way, at Bramall Lane. Sheffield Wednesday. Could be relegated in the Sheffield Derby, which would be brutal.
Absolutely. I think I'm going to go with Blackburn, and I am worried about West Brom, because I'm probably go with West Brom to go down over Leicester, because Leicester have the opportunity to do something in terms of the managerial position and get some sort of reaction, whereas West Brom have already made an appointment. So I'm going to make a snap decision. I'm going to go Oxford United stay up.
Yes.
And I think Blackburn Ravers and West Bromwich Albion go down.
He's gone West Brom. You've gone West Brom to go down. I've gone Leicester, and you've gone for Blackburn and Oxford. Very interesting stuff.
It's almost like it's planned.
Should we do a quick score prediction for Leicester versus Southampton on Tuesday night before we finish?
Go on then.
So doing that?
Yep.
This is a big game in terms of both teams. You think Southampton still have a chance of making the playoffs? Gal, they need to go to Leicester and win. Will they?
Yeah, I think they'll win 3-0.
Wow. That'll be... Wow, nail in the coffin.
Important Larin getting on the score sheet, wasn't it? I thought, yeah, good finish as well.
It was a lovely header as well.
Brilliant header, yeah. Wow. Bang, old school, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'll go Leicester 1, Southampton 2.
I was going to say exactly the same. Connor, Gab, thank you for joining me. Make sure you stay tuned for later in the week, the Sportsman Untitled Extra, where I think we'll be discussing a bit more about Coventry's crumble, should we call it that? Thanks for watching, guys. Get in the thoughts in the comments down below, and like and subscribe while you're down there. But we'll see you later in the week.